Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Film Room Podcast. This is episode 40. I'm your host, Joe Baress, along with my co-host, Joby Fawcett. Joby, how we doing?
Joe, my brain is numb at this point. In addition to the extremely long weekend in frigid temperatures at Shippensburg University this weekend, today the frustration of not being able to sign into the podcast has left me a complete and utter mush pit. So I'm just hoping, Joe, that I'm going to be able to give you some sort of data and information. Because what I will tell you is, Joe, this has really enlightened me to the fact of how technologically unsound I am.
And listen, some behind the scenes. We've spent about a solid 45 minutes, I think, trying to get Joby into this group chat.
And to nobody's surprise, Joe, there's no tech support for you and myself
No.
in these days. This day and age. And now that I've hit the big double nickel, I'm ready to throw my cell phone out the window. I'm smashing my laptop, which, by the way, is company property. So, yeah, we're beyond the point of frustration here. And I will tell you this, Joe. In the sport that we are going to discuss here very shortly in the Film Room Podcast, it takes a great deal of calm, patience. It takes the ability to withstand some frustration, which are clear indicators that I could never be successful at tennis.
Exactly. We're going to talk to that tennis player right now, our Times-Tribune Athlete of the Week, Akhilesh Velaga of Scranton Prep Tennis. First of all, Aki, how we doing, man?
Pretty good.
Yeah. Joe, he logged in with no problem, by the way.
No problem. 3 times, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
The good news is that, not only him, but athletes of the past have been helping us through these technological issues. So we appreciate it. Joby, I'm not that old. I'm 35. I should be able to help with these things, but luckily we have our younger athletes on this with us. So cutting to why Aki got his Athlete of the Week award, the Scranton Prep senior capped off his career with a 3rd place finish at the PIAA Class 2A tennis championships in Hershey. So it just really capped an incredible career. So let's start there. What was it like just getting that bronze medal? It's I know it's tough in tennis. I don't know from experience because like Joby, I'm not great at the sport either. But what is it like, to cap your career with that bronze medal, being the 3rd best player in the state?
It's truly hard to describe in words because you don't really expect to achieve these things. It's like you work hard and you just hope that you get there, but it feels phenomenal to be able to do this and to end in such a great way. Like if you told my freshman year self that I'd be able to do this, I would not believe it. And I think it would not be possible without all the work that went into it, both from me, but mainly from my team, coach and everyone. I feel like I had a really good time. And I'm really fortunate to have done this, and I'm happy to represent my school, my district, and everyone in this endeavor.
So, Aki, I'm going to be one of the few times I'm going to disagree with an athlete here because I have been covering tennis for a long time, and I covered you during your freshman year, and I believed you could achieve something of this level of greatness in the sport because as a freshman, you made a huge splash and won the District 2 Class 2A championship. So let's talk a little bit about the journey that you've had. I know it's been very unique in that you had some injury frustrations throughout your sophomore and junior seasons. And this year, fully healthy, with a little bit stronger swing and a little bit calmer demeanor. Look at where you are today now with a bronze medal from the tournament. Let's go back to when you were a freshman. How did you kind of establish yourself so early on in your career?
Yeah, so I remember when I came into into high school tennis as a freshman, I definitely was the underdog. I felt like I did like when I went to when I went to the tryouts for Scranton Prep, I did pretty well and I was able to seal the #1 spot in, but I played like a lot of players that season and I did have a couple losses in the preliminary season, and that was definitely a good learning experience, I'd say, for districts. It was nice to adjust to the high school competition because it's a very different. So I've been playing tournaments since I was young, and we use different scoring. It's a different atmosphere, especially because my match also counts towards the team. So adjusting to adjusting to all that was very different at first, but I grew to really love it. As districts came along in freshman year, I was very relaxed for it because I thought to myself, I have 4 years to win this title, so I'll just give my best and see what happens. And I was able to pull off some really good performances to win the title. And then I remember at states, I played this one player. He was very solid, but I thought I could beat him. And I remember I lost. I think it was 6-2, 6-4, or something like that. And I was definitely heartbroken because I really wanted to win that match and start strong in states. But I remember thinking to myself, one day I want to get a medal at states. And now like 3 years later from then, I'm really happy to have achieved that. In between, I remember as a sophomore, I had I'd say I had a very good season overall. But we had this one amazing player named Tristan. Remember him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tristan Vavona. Yep.
Yep. So yeah, he was an excellent player, and I couldn't really do much that season in singles, but I remember winning doubles districts with Ethan Borick. But I remember we also got first rounded at states, and from then on, I was like, I want to really get past the first round and go deep one day. And then junior year, I had a tough injury, so I had a wrist injury, and because of that, I wasn't able to train until the very beginning of the season. And that put me at a very bad deficit because Ethan Borick was working really hard before that, and he was preparing. And by the time I challenged him, he was playing phenomenal tennis, and he looked very confident with himself, and he took my spot. So as the season went along, I tried to catch up, but it was just too late, and I ended up losing in the district semis. I remember thinking after that match, I said to myself, I know it's very upsetting to have lost that, but I have to just look ahead for next year, and I'm going to try to make next year the best year and turn all this around. And yeah, I'm really happy to be in this position right now.
So yeah, tell me about this year. I think at least my eyes were kind of opened up when you ended up beating Pranil Malaha during the season, and you were just pedal to the metal since then. I mean, even getting into the semifinal match at states, you took that first set as well. How did you feel this year? Was there like a big difference from this year to previous years? Any emphasis on anything in the off season or anything to make you kind of peak during this season, your senior season?
Yep. So off season, I remember I wanted to focus a lot on match play and going for my shots. So that's what I did most of the off season. I just tried to play as many tournaments outside of high school and just to prepare myself for the season. That worked really well. And during the season, I just thought to myself that I'll go for my shots. Because last year, I remember I was very tentative. I was really hesitant to hit hard. I would just kind of be passive and wait for the chance. But this year, I thought that I'm going to make the chances myself. And that really paid off because I thought I feel like the Pernille match was the turning point because I remember I just went for my shots and I produced some amazing shots like off the forehands, backhand serves, and I never thought I could do those. Like I never thought I could play that level, and after seeing that, I was like, you know what? I think I could do this again and again, and I just continued that throughout the season. So districts, states, And even in the semis, that was a tough match, but in the first set, I thought I played very well and my game was working. But then in the second set, my opponent, Samir, he just countered everything. And he also started playing the same way, fearless. And he kind of got the best of me. But I feel like I did a very good job of just trusting myself this season compared to last year.
Akhi, so listen, you played 2 great matches on Friday at the state tennis tournament. What is that like for you? Because you really overmatched your 2 opponents in the first and in the quarterfinals. So tell me, was it just the fact you were playing with a lot more confidence in yourself at the state level?
I'd say definitely. And I'd say the state courts also helped me because like Hershey is very fast compared to our courts. And when you go for your shots, they end up being much faster on those courts. So I was able to produce a lot more winners. And I remember, especially in the second match, we had some very close games. Like the score doesn't do justice, but we had many deuces. And it was then that I really went for my serves and my shots, and I won those crucial points, which really decided the match. So I'd say, yeah, believing in myself really helped me for those first 2 matches also.
Okay, if I could just one more quickly here. So after what was a pretty intense, as you mentioned a couple of times, semifinal match, which they often are, once you're down to the final 4 in Class 2A or in Class 3A, these are 4, 8 outstanding players. You have to bounce back to try to get that 3rd place medal. So how did you kind of flip the switch back on after overcoming the disappointment of a 3-set loss to kind of get yourself refocused and get back out there on the court?
Yeah. So one thing that really hit me immediately after the loss was that I realized that it's going to be my last match regardless. So I really want to give my best and perform. And even if I lost that, I thought to myself, I want to come off the court thinking I gave my best for every single point just because it's my last high school match. I want to end it really well. So that mentality helped me a lot because my opponent was very consistent. He didn't give free points, but I was willing to just sit there and fight as long as it took. And after the first set I played really well and he was making a couple mistakes. So I won 6-1, but the second set, my opponent really came on fire because he's also a senior. So he started fighting very hard, and it was just that mentality that carried me through that set. And I felt like it was a great ending to my high school career to like end on a win, you know?
Absolutely. No, it was a hell of a season for you. And I want to ask you, I think I saw in your Athlete of the Week interview you did with our colleague, Scotty, how much your dad means to you. And I believe getting you kind of started in tennis. Could you tell us a little bit how, go back to the beginning? How'd you get started in tennis and when did you kind of develop a love for it?
Yep. So when I was 6 years old, my dad first showed me the sport, and I kind of just played very casually. I didn't, at first I was kind of impatient for improvement, but eventually when I reached the age of 10, I was like, you know what, I want to take this seriously. I really enjoy the sport. And so I started working very hard. I started playing tournaments and everything outside of school. And I feel like my dad was instrumental in that success because he's always been there along the way. Because there are many times I wasn't getting the results, but he still kept me motivated and he gave me amazing words of advice to keep me going. That really paid me off. And I feel like along the way, especially some of the coaches I met, like one of my coaches, Coach Graham, in Clark Summit, he really helped me develop my consistency. Coach Nick, our high school coach, he's done so much for us in the season for me and my teammates, and he's really helped me develop my game and my belief, and yeah, I thought it's been an amazing journey so far, and I'm kind of upset that it's ending, but I'm forever thankful for everyone who's helped me along the way.
Akhi, so you mentioned the ending because you and I had a little discussion on Saturday after your match. You're going to Penn State main campus, and you are taking on an extremely challenging academic schedule for a freshman and someone who wants to graduate in 4 years. So tennis may have to go to the back burner for you. So looking back now, what are some of your fondest memories outside of, maybe this past year that, you can kind of reflect back on, and maybe you'll take to the club sport or even to recreational tennis?
Yeah, so I'd say no matter how many singles matches I played, it was definitely playing for the team that brought me the greatest joy. I really enjoyed the fact that whether we win or lost, like we'd go out to eat like with smiles and we'd forget about the loss pretty quickly. And I feel like I'm gonna carry those memories like throughout my life, like all those amazing moments we had as a team, all the laughter and the joy, and that's what I'm gonna miss the most. I feel like from high school tennis, the team spirit and all the support they gave me.
Absolutely. A key last thing from me. I see that you're a big Eagles fan, and so I'm a Packers fan. So we tried desperately to stop you from using the tush push, but lost. How we play you this year? How many times do you think the Eagles are going to run the tush push on the Packers? Like every play, or like?
I mean, that's a good question. I'm not sure, honestly, but we'll see.
I'll tell you what, Joe. It's gonna be the opening play.
I know, absolutely. There's no doubt. The first play is the tush push, without a doubt.
So Aki, you must have enjoyed the Super Bowl, I would think, right?
Yeah. It's just, I thought of Saquon like this whole season. It's just they had to put so much effort to stop Saquon that like they just had too many openings, and the Eagles just kind of, and then Jalen just had some amazing throws and runs. So, and yeah, I thought the Chiefs didn't play bad. It was just the Eagles were playing really amazing.
So listen, Aki, you're going to Penn State now. You're clearly a Saquon fan as well.
Yeah.
Have you experienced the 110,000 people at Beaver Stadium yet?
Not yet, but I'm definitely looking into it.
I kind of figured you would.
Yeah, I heard I have to reserve the tickets really early, so I got to get to that pretty quickly.
Yes, you do. That has to be priority number 2 after you sign up for your classes.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think you gotta like be ready for like 10 a.m. on a certain day or something to lock those down. So, Joby, you got anything else?
Well, I just want to say, as I do to all of our athletes of the week, congratulations, Aki. Listen, I have enjoyed chatting with you over the course of our 4 years. The great thing and the rewarding thing for my job as a sports writer is, especially when I'm covering a sport like tennis, is I do get a chance to get to know you players a little bit more intimately than most, because I'm around you so much during your most intense competition. So you've been a great winner and a gracious player in defeat. And you really have had an outstanding career and capped it off with a great senior year. And I want to congratulate you on being an athlete of the week, a District 2 champion, and a bronze medal winner at the state level.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for covering me over the past couple of years. And thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yep. Thank you. Yep.
Take care, man.
Yeah, you too.
All right. That was Akhilesh Velaga of Scranton Prep Tennis, our athlete of the week, as always brought to you by the Lehigh Valley Orthopedic Institute. Joby, obviously you have covered him for 4 years now, but I looking from afar and having the opportunity to talk to him now, even during the technical difficulties,
not his technical difficulties.
That's true, right? As he tried to help us through our technical difficulties, obviously a great kid, but also multiple things here. First of all, you want to end, you can't, obviously he would have rather won a state title, but
sure,
like, come on, you get that bronze medal and you have one loss all year. There's no better way to go out. And I loved hearing him talk, and you could read more about it in his Athlete of the Week interview, which will be in Tuesday's paper. We're actually recording this Monday on Memorial Day, but just, you love to hear when a kid just leaves it all out there, and you can tell that he didn't back down. He was fearless. He attacked it, and it paid dividends for him. And that's just exactly what you want to hear. And that's that's the peak of what you want to do in athletics in high school.
Yeah, Joe, I'm real happy for him because, as he mentioned a little bit, he did have a wrist injury that set him back. And boy, his memory is as sharp as a tack. Tristan Vivona from Western Wayne, he went to a tennis academy after his fantastic freshman year, and he dominated high school tennis in the area. And so just kind of dialing it back, Joe, to kind of getting to know these players. I can remember when Akhi and Pranil Melaha, they were both freshmen, and they both won district singles championships. And it's hard to believe 4 years have gone by that quickly. And Joe, because here's the thing, these young players, as they are maturing, and I'm watching them develop as players and as young men, and I come to realize just how old I'm getting, and how fast I'm getting much older. It's just incredible. But no, really, just a great job by those two outstanding players, from Abington Heights, Pranil Melaha, and of course, Akhi Velaga. So, Joe, that's kind of going full circle for me now because I have young players at Abington Heights who I'm now kind of in the midst of following them as well through their careers, which have kind of just started. And, you have Brady Comstock and Liam Farrell, the doubles team from Abington Heights. Both them and Pranil played in the state tournament in Class 3A as well, and they both lost in the first round. That's not to take away from what was an incredible season at Abington Heights for tennis, where they captured the 12th straight District 2 Class 3A team championship, and the players were outstanding throughout the entire season for Abington Heights. And then, Joe, Wyoming Seminary, the doubles team, Billy Hall and Stefan Zakar. Mm-hmm. Now, Stefan is a student from Serbia, and they also finished third in the PIAA Class 2A doubles tournament. So congratulations to them. Right. And Joe, listen, the tennis, we go back to the girls' season in the fall as we are getting close now to wrapping up the Athlete of the Week program for this season. Just great tennis from all the athletes, and I've really enjoyed getting to know them. And hopefully I'll still be around next fall, Joe, to kind of get this kick-started again. But we want to congratulate all the great players in the sport of tennis, boys and girls, this year.
Absolutely. And, I want to say two things about Akhi. One, you did mention, as great as he was in tennis, he's going to go on to like much bigger things and much more important things than you and I will ever do. He has an interest in biotech. He's going into pre-med. So, that's great for him going to Penn State for that. And also, quite a few athletes, Joby, when I've reached out to them to, line them up to do the podcast, they've called me Mr. Baress. And you mentioned that age thing, and it's really hitting me now that these teenagers, these high school kids are calling me Mr. Baress. I'm getting old too, Joby.
Yeah, John, I'm going to insist they stop doing that.
That's what I keep saying. I was like, just call me Joe.
But no, you could not meet a more respectful group of athletes than high school tennis players. They really are. And they've been a lot of fun to cover. I've enjoyed it Joe, if you remember back, now you were probably still at the University of Scranton when this all went down at the Times-Tribune, when we were kind of regrouping. We had taken our first of what has been a succession of hits on the chin, and we were kind of reconfiguring what we were doing. And I can remember saying, I'll take tennis. I don't, as long as if somebody else is interested in it or wants to pick it up as a spring sport to cover, I'd be more than happy to relinquish it, but I'll pick it up. And I think that was 20 years ago, and I'm still here. So we're still doing it. And
surprise me.
Yeah. And I enjoy it. So it's been a lot of fun.
It's funny, Joby. I've been doing the 30-20-10 just to kind of, relieve. Scott usually takes that on, but it's been a busy spring for everybody. So
yeah, we're trying to shuffle the deck, Joe, the best we can.
And it's just funny, like two things. I get to the 20 years ago, and yes, I have seen articles by you in tennis. That's number one. And obviously track and field. But yeah. No, number two, I'm going back and I'm seeing these names. I'm just like, I was in high school at this time 20 years ago. Like, oh my goodness. So
Joe, listen,
it's funny.
One of the funny things was you mentioned track and field. Of course, I spent a couple of days out in Shippensburg University for the state track and field championships. And I will say this, Joe, and I've said it 1,000 times, I've said it once. If you're a fan of high school sports, and I realize that people can stay home now and live stream or watch it on PCN or whatever, but if you have an opportunity to get away for a couple of days on Memorial Day weekend, I would encourage you as a high school sports fan to go to the state track and field championship meet, because you will see a level of athleticism that will just absolutely stagger your mind when you come back to Northeast Pennsylvania. It will also give you a much better appreciation of the kind of commitment, dedication, and talent it takes to reach the state medal stand. I know a lot of times when people back home will read a recap from the state championships and say, well, they only got 8th place, what kind of medal is that? Well, I'll tell you what, go to the meet.
Yeah.
And you will see, I was stunned this year. And of course, I'm always excited about being there to see the level of talent. A young athlete in the girls pole vault in class 3, I was paying particular attention to that because we had 2 athletes in that event from Delaware Valley's Liana Coe, who was our district champion, and Tamara Steed from Abington Heights. And the young lady, Joe, cleared 14.3. 14.3.
Wow.
There was a time, Joe, and not too distant past, when the Lackawanna Track Conference boys record for the pole vault was 14.3.
Oh my God.
So that's where we are in athletics right now in the state of Pennsylvania. There was a couple of state records set. One athlete was, I believe, ranked 2nd or 3rd nationally for the 2-mile, one of the races where Kendall Jones was involved from Elk Lake. But again, congratulations, and we'll get more into that detail. But I just wanted to say, Joe, that was quite a weekend, despite the fact the weather was absolutely abysmal.
Oh my God, it was. It's it's funny you say that, Joby. I've obviously seen high school track and field meets, being my 1 year of track, but I'm going to a Grand Slam track event on Sunday.
How nice.
Yep. So I'm pretty excited to see, Sydney McLaughlin, Lavroni,
and she is now,
she's going to be there.
She's my favorite high school, or my favorite Olympiad athlete.
Absolutely.
Track and field right now, because she is a hurdler.
Absolutely.
Which is my favorite event. Now she does the much longer 400-meter hurdles.
Yeah.
But has now kind of dipped her toe into doing the 100-meter hurdles too. So
I was going to say, she's actually scheduled to do the 100 hurdles. So I'm really interested to see how she does. Obviously, it's just a showcase. It's not, but
Joe, don't they score that where you have to finish, particularly you get points for finishing in a certain place? It's a Grand Prix event, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
They have to do the double.
Yeah, I'm going to be very interested to see like what exactly it is. I'm just it's going to be at Franklin Field. So
yeah, I think
my friend's really interested in it. So
yeah, Michael Johnson, the former Olympic great, started this as a way to kind of promote the athletes during what is a non-Olympic year.
Right.
And for the most part, many track and field athletes have to go overseas for the Diamond League. And since NBC doesn't do the coverage anymore like it used to be the Olympic station,
right.
They kind of canceled that channel. But so this is a good way for track and field athletes to have highly competitive and money-making events. And they're unique events. So you kind of, the way it's set up, I believe, Joe, so she'll run the 100 hurdles, and then she'll also run the 300 hurdles, and she'll be awarded points for wherever she finishes. And if you sweep the Grand Prix, or you end up in first place, you win X amount of money or whatever. You know what I mean? That's
right.
That's how it goes. So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's a pretty neat way to promote the sport of track and field in a non-Olympic year.
I'm excited. And, to your point, basically when you said like seeing these athletes at the highest level, it's just like the only thing I wanted to add to that, because obviously, You know, I see it to a certain extent in the wrestling angle. You know, like you also, it's what's always impressed me too about these kids is that like they have to be, it's not like, not to insult like basketball or baseball or any of those major sports, but it's just like, you know, you make a mistake in those sports, you can make up for it later in the game unless it's the last play of the game. And it's just like, you know, and you've got a team, it's just like in these track events, you have to like perform at your best at this like specific time, or in wrestling, or in these, or in tennis. Like you have to be, you know, you prepare for like this moment, and like you've got to be on top of your game at this particular moment and fight whatever the elements. If you happen to get sick, it's just like there's no other time, there's no one else to lean on. And it's just like that's what impresses me. And to see and to hear these numbers coming out of that state track and field meet, I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, Joe, it was great, and the kids did a great job in handling some adverse weather conditions. It was very rainy and cold on Friday, which is a critical day because it's the qualifying day.
Right.
And for those races in particular, they only take 8 to the final. So if you're hovering on that border, and we had a couple of kids miss the cut, Kendall Jones, in fact, the first day in the 1600 finished 9th, and that's not the position you want to. You'd almost rather finish in 10th,
right,
where you want to finish in 9th,
and not miss it by a place.
Right, PIAA only issues 8 medals, which is certainly enough. But yeah, it was a great competition, Joe. But I do want to point out, while I was there, these are the types of things that kind of get to me at states, and I wish I had more time. Of course, you know, I was under a little bit of a time crunch on Saturday, and I didn't really kind of get to elaborate as much on the stories within the stories that I like to do. But Kevin Vincent from Holy Cross, okay, so his story goes, he was district champion last year in the triple jump, but he suffered an injury at districts, okay, where he had some severe tendon strains in his foot. Now, he tried to gut it out at the state meet like any tough athlete will try to do, and he just didn't. He didn't perform, okay? And so on a raw sheet of paper, if you're looking in the newspaper and you just see Kevin Vincent ends up being 43 feet or 42 feet, whatever he jumped at in the triple jump, you kind of say, well, he didn't perform, without putting the context that he was injured. Okay.
Right.
Okay. So here we come back this year, and he had some ups and downs through the season. And remember, Joe, at Holy Cross, because you were a member of the Holy Cross track and field team, there is no track to practice on.
No.
And when you're a jumper and that's your specialty, how do you work out in the pits? How do you work on your craft? And so he's competing in the triple jump at the state meet, and I am watching some of the sprinting events, and he and I kind of bumped into each other, or he came over and tapped me on the shoulder. He said, Joby, I'm right on the cusp. I don't know if I made it. I said, all right, well, let's go over. And I'm sitting underneath the tent, and he's triple jumps going on right behind me. And he's nervous, of course, because they take 9 to the final, which is the most absurd procedure by the PIAA. But they do that in case somebody bumps up a spot to get into the medal hunt, right?
Okay,
you get 3 additional jumps in the final. So Kevin makes it as the 9th jumper.
Oh, wow.
In the final. So now the pressure is really on Kevin, okay? So he's number 9. It's difficult to kind of launch yourself into the top 8, even though it's only one spot. To get that medal, you've got to displace somebody, okay? And he has not moved out of 9th place until his final jump. And there's a tradition at the state track meet where they kind of do this rhythmic clapping with the fans that are in the bleachers right next to the triple jump pit.
Yeah.
And he launched his best jump of the season, and he ended up in 7th place. He surpassed 2 people in the standings, and he won his state medal. And the smile on his face and the pure joy for a high school junior to get that medal the way he did, the process he had to take, was just so heartwarming. And I kind of fell a little bit short in describing it for the folks back home, but that's the kind of stuff that really makes the weekend worthwhile for me.
That's awesome, Joby. And, to your credit, Joby, I don't know how you filed something for the Citizens Voice and 2 stories for the Times-Tribune amidst the events actually happening. I really don't know how you did that. And
It's a frantic pace on Saturday, Joe. I'm not going to lie to you because things happen fast and furious, and
our deadline's earlier.
People in the community don't necessarily know that or understand what that means.
No.
But as events are going on, Joe, so I'm kind of getting peppered, right? Kendall Jones wins a medal, and the procedure there is you have to wait for the athlete to receive his medal before you can talk to him. And I'm trying to take some video and some photos of the medal stand and photos of each athlete who wins a medal. And in the meantime, Mid-Valley's Natalie Toludo's in the blocks getting ready to run the 100-meter hurdles in Class 2A. And because you're already in the final, you know, as long as you don't false start or fall or get disqualified, you're going to get a medal. So I'm anticipating her winning a medal. So I have to hustle over there and get her video. And then, of course, we're working for the Citizens Voice as well and covering the Wyoming Valley Conference. And Julia Natitis, who was outstanding over the weekend, she also won a medal in the 100-meter hurdles. And those events go back to back. And Joe, I'm a little bit of a traditionalist. I used to run the 110-meter hurdles, so
of course
I can't leave my post. I want to watch those races. Part of our job as sports writers is to actually watch the races. So I try to take in some of that, and then you're trying to, again, do video, post social media, keep people back home posted. So it does get a little frantic on Saturday, Joe, and it does make for what is a cautious ride home from Shippensburg.
Oh, certainly.
3 hours on Interstate 81, Joe.
That's crazy. I just, it's funny. I would have just stayed there another night.
I'm not so sure M&G would appreciate that.
No, probably not, but
I will say this, Joe, you'll find this amusing because last year I was under a similar circumstance where Dunmore made the final of the Class 2A 1,600-meter relay, which is the final event of what is an extremely busy day. And so knowing that, I had to stay and recap that. And you, of course, knew I had to kind of try to squeeze things in under the gun.
Oh, yeah.
To get them in. So I found this it's weird that I say I found it. It's right next to my hotel. I've been there before during my 30 years covering this event. But it's the King Street Diner, Joe.
Nice.
I got an incredible dinner.
Nice.
For a very reasonable price.
It's hard to find these days, Joby.
Correct. I had a Monte Cristo sandwich and I had a chicken quesadilla appetizer. No, I didn't finish either.
Right.
But I had takeout,
I was going to say, take it home.
There's no question in that situation, my eyes tend to get a little bit bigger than my digestive.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah. But at least I had takeout. But it was delicious. A good way to cap the weekend.
Absolutely. And let me just quickly go through.
Yeah, recap the results, Joe, because I don't even remember what happened.
I was going to say, if anything jumps out of you, like you said, Kevin Vincent, he finished 7th in the triple jump. I believe the best medal that the Lackawanna Track Conference got was Kaylin Davis of Lake.
Correct, Joe.
Bronze in the javelin with a throw of 124 feet 1 inch. Friend of the podcast, so congratulations to her.
Joe, I don't know how she competed this weekend because so the javelin was on Friday, okay?
Right.
And she had to run the preliminaries of the 100-meter hurdles. She had to throw the javelin. She had to run the preliminaries of the 300-meter hurdles and the preliminaries of the mile relay. So in hindsight, had she come to me for recommendations, I might have encouraged her to scratch 1, if not 2 of her running events.
Right.
Now, it didn't hamper her too badly. She did still throw 124 feet. It's a little bit shorter than what she did at the district meet, but you're asking a lot of yourself to run 4 events at the state level in one day. It's one thing to do that in a dual meet. It's one thing to do it at the District 2 level. It's a whole nother ball game to do it at the state level, have to compete at that level. And she tried it, and she came away with a bronze medal, so congratulations to her.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just ask Kyle Larson, who couldn't do the double yesterday on the Indy 500 and the
Correct.
Coca-Cola. He ended up crashing. But anyway, Hope he doesn't listen to the podcast.
Yeah, Joe, you'll be receiving some.
I just insulted him.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it, Kyle. I didn't mean it. I was just trying to make a point. So Gianna Tewksbury from Elk Lake took fourth in the discus with a throw of 123 feet, 5 inches.
What an engaging young lady she is, Joe. She was the first LTC athlete, and actually District 2 athlete, to receive a medal. And she couldn't have been happier. She got an interview. She had a video. She didn't want to leave. She's had a great career and a great season. And she's going to be going on to compete Penn West, California, Joe. Now, you're not familiar with that terminology, but that is the old California University of Pennsylvania that competes at the PSAC level. Now, you remember a lot of these schools kind of collaborated with each other, and that's the new name for the California University of Pennsylvania.
Sure. Okay. I got you. Also with a fourth place finish, Katie Skirpin from Western Wayne. She did that in the pole vault with a mark of 11 feet I have here.
Yeah, Joe, listen, just to kind of let you in. So I'm watching the pole vault, and I see her competing, and I know she's among the final grouping to compete. You know, believe it or not, I am able to keep track of some things during the course of the day. And as I mentioned already, I have to wait for them to get their medals before I can speak to them. Okay.
Right.
So in between, when I have a little bit of lull and I try to do some writing and recapping and whatever, I'm under the media tent and I'm typing away, and I knew I heard the announcement for Katie that she had received her medal. And I don't know if I was just in the twilight zone or if I was dehydrated or whatever, but I looked up and she was gone. So I have to give kudos to Western Wayne coach Justin Collins, who, when I called him, was able to have her retreat and return back to the medal stand. So I was able to speak to her and get a photo of her with her medal. But congratulations to Katie Skirpin from Western Wayne on winning. I did watch her compete, Joe.
Yes.
I just whiffed on the post-game interview.
It happens. There's a lot going on.
Listen, anybody who listens to this podcast is going to think I am completely incompetent when it comes to covering track.
They're going to be looking out for you. It's just like, oh, where's Joby? I should probably go find him.
There is no question. There is no question that my approach is disorganized chaos. I'm like the Joker in The Dark Knight.
I'm
an agent of
chaos.
Yeah, correct.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
I certainly don't have that. The only thing missing from me, Joe, is the clown makeup and green hair.
It's fantastic. You should show up to that the next event you cover.
There are some people that have seen my wig in rough shape at the state track. Believe me.
All right, so let's see. We also had Natalie Toledo Mid-Valley. She finished fourth in the 100-meter hurdles with a time of 15.4 seconds. We had Josh Dudek from Dunmore finished seventh in the high jump with a mark of 6 feet 3 inches. Cole Fangio of Dunmore, seventh in the 300 hurdles with a time of 40.14 seconds. Also, the Dunmore 4x4 relay placed fifth with a time of 3 minutes 26.93 seconds. You had mentioned Kendall Jones. He did finish sixth in the 3200, the time 9 minutes 18.72 seconds. And I think that's it for track.
Yeah, John, listen, congratulations to the Wyoming Valley Conference kids. They had a great weekend as well. I mentioned Juliana Titus. She was the one athlete who won 2 medals on Saturday. She won in both hurdles, the 100 hurdles and the 300 hurdles. Timothy Leonard from Wilkes-Barre area, the dynamic sprinter. Listen, the Class 3A 100-meter dash field this year was unbelievably fast. And he was right in the hunt for about 75, 80 meters. And he's going to be there next year. He's going to be one of the top contenders for the gold medal next year. He ran 10.75 this year. If he shaves off a couple tenths, which he's certainly capable of doing, he's going to be in the hunt for a gold medal next year in the 100. Big things for him as a junior. And, you know, we had some other athletes do quite well from the Wyoming Valley Conference. I don't want to shortchange them, but they had a great meet this weekend as well.
Absolutely, Joby. And
I believe Nanticoke's Nevaeh Barron won 2 medals as well.
That's correct. Let's quickly move on to Joby, I covered a lacrosse game.
Joe, I was so thrilled to see you dusting off your reporter's cap
How about that?
for lacrosse champions, which I was monitoring from the University Grill in Shippensburg.
Yeah, it was, I was, I mean, I know you know exactly how it goes, Joby, but man, it's tough to keep up with these lacrosse kids. They just keep scoring goals.
Joe, they keep scoring
tweeting
goals.
something every 20 seconds.
It's always nice for when you get called into duty, we go into overtime as well.
Exactly. It is great when like it turns into an incredible game. Hilariously, our colleague Sam Freeman was just like, "Oh, don't worry. That's Abington will take care of business in that game, considering they beat Crestwood 19-8 the first time they played them. Lo and behold, it went to overtime, like you said, Joby."
John, listen, just knowing what I know from covering a couple of years of lacrosse, Crestwood is a very proud program, and I think Sam Freeman pointed out in one of his preview stories how young this Crestwood team is and how it has matured throughout the course of the season, and certainly much more confident in the rematch against Abington Heights, which is equally as talented with Allie Rothenberger and Morgan Davis.
Yeah.
Boy, Joe, cha-ching. It was like watching a pinball match.
Exactly. Joby, I mean, you kind of said it. Just to expand on it, I mean, this, Abington Heights comes out and it really looks like it's heading toward another double-digit victory. They scored the first 5 goals. They're leading 6-1 at the end of the first. Allie Rothenberger and Olivia Kim connecting for some assist goals in that first period. And then Crestwood just comes roaring back in the second half. Gia Caparuccio just had some incredible goals. Hannah Ziegler, Jordan Andrews, like you said, just a very, very talented and young Crestwood team that ends up, I believe it was Gia Caparuccio who tied the game with 9 seconds left. So sends it to overtime, Joby. And it's just funny in those situations. I'm just like, oh God, what are the overtime rules? Like, I'm pretty sure it's sudden death, but like, I wasn't 100% sure. It's like the first time I covered a wrestling match and they had to go to criteria. And I'm just like, I have no idea what winning on criteria means. It's just funny how it works out.
At least the first thing that popped into your head was, how do we do overtime? When I was covering lacrosse, I just let it play out. I had no idea what was going on.
Fair. But I mean,
if they're celebrating the victory after the horn's going off, that's the game.
Well, see, exactly. That was the thing. And like, I thought that I got like the score wrong or something, because it really looked like Crestwood was very excited when the horn sounded. I'm just like, oh God, did I miss something? And but no, we did go to overtime. Great job by a still undefeated Abington Heights team winning the draw. Let me tell you quickly, Morgan Davis, freshman, incredible player. I know that we knew this already based on the stats that she was putting up, but it was a pleasure to see her game in person. There was this one, she took a pass at midfield and just like a breakaway, like just coast to coast, juking a defender and then just putting it in the back of the net. It was an incredible play and a much needed play in regulation to give them at least an 11-9 cushion. Now ends up going to overtime anyway, but again, Morgan Davis wins the opening draw, gets to Allie Rothenberger. She's patient behind the net and then says, why don't I give it to Morgan Davis? That seems to work. And then she got it to Morgan Davis. Morgan Davis, with pinpoint accuracy, goes bottom left to give Abington Heights the district title over Crestwood. Both teams will be going to states. That continues June 3rd. So I'll be interested to see how both of them do. They're obviously two very, very good teams, Joby. And it was, I was happy to, see a game like that. That was great.
Nice to have you in the field again, Joe. To wrap it up, congratulations to Delaware Valley's boys and girls teams. They won the district championships in Class 3A for lacrosse. And we had a great finish, Sam Freeman. Crestwood beating Scranton Prep, the defending champion in Class 2A boys. Both of those teams also going to be advancing on to states.
Absolutely. So I'll try to kind of touch on baseball and softball here quickly.
Joe, the rain has absolutely derailed any kind of cohesive approach to this district postseason.
Seriously, it's brutal. There's still, a baseball semifinal to be played tonight. I think actually, I'm sorry, tomorrow.
Wolf Forge and Elk Lake.
Forge and Elk Lake. Yeah, I mean it's tough. It's got to be a nightmare trying to set up the pitching. I will say that, kudos to whoever made the decision, but Abington and North Pocono had to play on Saturday, and the title game was originally scheduled for, I think, Tuesday. So Nick Bradley would not have been able to pitch, but they moved that game back to Thursday. You want to be able to see both teams at their best, and that is going to be a hell of a championship game against Pittston area. Elijah Barr, their ace, and Nick Bradley, obviously, we've touched on it, heading to Auburn. So that's going to be a great matchup. That's on Thursday.
Two of the best teams in the state, Joe, and only one gets to go to the tournament.
Exactly. So that's just huge ramifications. Like I said, we do have a semifinal for Elk Lake tomorrow at Elk Lake in 2A baseball. The winner of that will face Holy Redeemer in the championship game, which is the 30th. That's Friday. Wow. Don't you love how I'm learning information mid-podcast?
I am stunned by your ability to look at a calendar.
That's it. We've got a Dunmore Riverside baseball in 3A, a title game that'll be at Marywood tomorrow.
Joe, didn't they play in the football final too?
Yeah. Yes, and there's some kids who were on that team.
I know. That's why I brought it up.
So, that's going to be a good one. We've got Mid-Valley boys who have had, obviously a great season with, Nick Mills. He had a big week. He actually went 3 for 3 with 2 home runs and a double, 4 RBIs and 2 runs in Mid-Valley's 15-0 win over Nanticoke area in the quarterfinals, and I went 2 for 3 with 1 run in the Spartans' 4-1 win over Scranton Prep in the semis. Also, Lorenzo Hernandez pitched a complete game in that win over Scranton Prep, scattering 7 hits, allowing 1 unearned run, walking 3 and striking out 7. So big performance by him as well. They're going to take on Crestwood, who was a 10-0 winner over Wyoming area today.
Mm-hmm.
That is scheduled for Friday as well.
Joe, how about the success for Mid-Valley Athletics? Athletic Director Tommy Nowakowski, especially this spring.
Incredible.
Mid-Valley baseball, the Mid-Valley boys track and field team, the Mid-Valley girls track team represented with a state medal winner.
Yep.
Between Tommy Nowakowski and Danny Digwood, my goodness gracious, at Riverside, their athletic programs, we keep talking about them time and time again.
Exactly. Also, as I had mentioned, Abington Heights, Piston area in Class 5A, they're going to play for the title on Thursday. Evan Gonzalez had a nice game for Abington Heights in an 11-2 semifinal win over North Pocono, 2 for 3 with a double, 1 RBI and 1 run. His single ignited a big 4th inning, and he capped the 6-run outburst with an RBI double to lead Abington Heights in that game. In 6A, Hazleton area will face Wilkes-Barre area. That will be on Wednesday. Sneaking over to the softball, we got Holy Cross Old Forge in the 1A game, title game, which is Wednesday. Holy Cross is a great team.
The Mash sisters.
Yeah, seriously.
Mia and Jules Galella.
Ava Schmidt on the mound. It's going to be.
What, Joe? Knowing the Galellas, if they wanted to, they could use the Smash sisters.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
And maybe they can market that. They're into that.
Absolutely.
Social media accounts and whatnot.
That's true.
But I want to kick back. I'll tell their father.
That's fair. I like it. So yeah, they're facing an Old Forge team that is lost some talent from last year to graduation. So that's gonna be a tough matchup for Old Forge against Holy Cross. In 2A, we have Elk Lake facing Holy Redeemer. That is Tuesday It's at Marywood at 1 o'clock. In 3A, this is kind of a marquee matchup, Mid-Valley against Lake Lehman. Kirsten Filarelli, Hannah Chapago of Lake Lehman. And obviously Mid-Valley has a ton of talent as well. So this should be a heck of a game. That final is on Wednesday at Wilkes. 4A, obviously this is another one people have been waiting for. You got Tunkhannock against Valley View. This one is Wednesday at Wilkes at 6 p.m.
Bill, those 4 teams you just talked about are 4 of the best teams in their classification. Only 2 move on to the state tournament.
I was going to say, I hate rushing through it, but you're absolutely right. These are going to, the 3A and 4A matchups are going to be premier games. And you're right. The stakes are absolutely massive. Only one advances. And, there's state title ramifications there. I mean, I'm sure they'll be hunting for a state title, and they've got tons of talent. Another couple teams in Class 5A, Abington Heights, North Pocono. Abington Heights has won both regular season matchups. I believe both of them were close. I think the first one was 5-4. Abington Heights, you got Lawrence Delika, a mainstay for years for this team, great pitcher. And of course, North Pocono, you've got the veteran talent, but you also have the young talent experiencing their first final. Obviously, as we've talked about, from state and little league success, that will be experiencing their first district final. That is tomorrow at the University of Scranton. So that's a great matchup as well. And then in 6A, Williamsport, Wilkes-Barre area will be tomorrow at 3 p.m. at Wilkes. So lots of stuff. Again, as long as this weather can help us out. Yeah, help us out a little bit. We're almost there. It was nice today, at least for.
And very few events are scheduled for today.
Yeah, that's the problem.
As Alanis Morissette once sang, Joe, isn't that ironic?
Don't you think? Yeah. Oh my gosh. So hopefully we get a little bit of luck this week, and we'll be back next week with a lot to cover as these teams head to the state playoffs. So with that, I think we wrap it up. Joby, it's so nice talking to you. Just an hour just flies by.
I'm so glad I was able to hook up finally, Joe.
Seriously, I got to figure this out. I really do. I don't know what.
We'll get it squared away, Joe. Before I go, allow me please to wish my daughter Megan a very happy 25th birthday. As usual, I missed it because I was at the state track and field championships. Contrary to popular belief, Joe, I was on site when she was born. That's one of the few state track meets that I did miss during my career, but certainly we'll celebrate tonight. She's coming home, so we'll see her.
Awesome. Happy birthday to Megan. I know you got to pick her up right now, actually.
Yes.
So
I should have been there already, Joe.
I'm so sorry. But yeah, I'll sign up. Follow us everywhere. The Times-Tribune.com/sports. Joby Fawcett's Facebook page, Joby Fawcett, the Times-Tribune, Times-Tribune Sports on Facebook and Instagram, at SportsTT on Twitter. We'll cover it all as we hit the home stretch of the high school sports season, district playoffs and states. We're coming down to the wire. So we're excited. I hope you are too. I hope you listen here wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen on Podbean, which is where we record, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music. We are everywhere. You can become our 50th follower if you want, but
there you go.
So subscribe and don't miss an episode. Thank you to Akhilesh Velaga for joining us and